Are you someone who handles disagreement with trust and attempts at repair? Are you someone who panics and feels overwhelmed anytime there's conflict? Are you more likely to pull away and cut off emotionally? All of that has to do with your attachment style. Hello, you gorgeous and sexy creature. Welcome to Practice Intimacy. This is the place to be to learn all about love, sex, and how to have the best relationships you possibly can. I'm Jamie Lynn. I'm a marriage and family therapist in the Austin area, and today we are going to continue our conversation about attachment styles. Last week we talked about the history and research of attachment theory, and this week we're going to focus a bit more on the effects of our early attachments in our adult relationships. So let's start with why. Why does this actually matter? Why should you know your attachment style? There's 3 reasons. First, when you know your attachment style, you'll know what typical behavior you display when you're under relational stress. Are you someone who handles disagreement with trust and attempts at repair? Are you someone who panics and feels overwhelmed anytime there's conflict? Are you more likely to pull away and cut off emotionally? All of that has to do with your attachment style. And knowing this information about yourself can help you to react in more relational ways in the future, helping your relationship become a healthier, more loving place for you and your partner. Second, understanding attachment styles can help you build more compassion towards yourself. When you know why an insecure or even unhealthy pattern is part of your way of responding in relationship, you can be kinder to yourself about how that behavior was adaptive in your history. The last reason to learn about attachment styles is to build compassion for your partner and their insecure behaviors. We all have those not so relational ways that we interact with each other, and it's good to build compassion and understanding. And this is how you do it, by learning. So, what are the attachment styles? Put simply, our attachment style is the early beliefs we develop about ourselves in relationship with others, and it's the adaptive behaviors that you developed in order to keep yourself safe in relationship. In our childhood, all of us learn messages about ourselves, about others, and about the world based on how people, primarily our caregivers, respond to us. I could get into the implicit and explicit memory, neural networks and things, but I don't want to dive too deep into the neuroscience in this video. Instead, let's just think about implicit memory as an unconscious part of yourself. Even if you logically know that your partner loves you, your unconscious mind may have early implicit learning that says, I'm not good enough, people will leave me, people aren't safe. And anytime your partner does something that scares your nervous system, your brain is going to unconsciously fire an implicit learning about what that means and how to react. For example, if you have a system that says, I'm not enough, and you've got a partner that can go a little bit distant, and they might look at you and give like a little half-ass smile rather than a real smile, your nervous system might be on fire thinking they don't want me, they don't love me, they're gonna leave. And then the adaptive strategy might be to either chase that person and try and get their attention by being appealing. It might be to run away and hide. It might be to blow up in anger at them. And that's just one example. All of us respond differently to what we perceive as threat in relationship. So there are 3 things that are helpful to know before we get started. First, there's a difference in the language we use between child attachment and adult attachment. Ooh, these words are hard today. For children, we use the words anxious and avoidant to describe the 2 organized but insecure attachment styles. And then with adults, we use the words preoccupied and dismissive. Throughout this video, those are the words I'm going to be using. So I'm talking about adult attachment here. I'm going to be talking in terms of preoccupied and dismissive. The second important thing to know up front is that we all present all of the different categories of attachment. You can think of your own attachment as a patchwork quilt. You have all 4 of the different colors in your quilts. There's security, there's preoccupation, there's dismissiveness, there's disorganization. But our attachment styles are complex and varied, but you might have more of one color than another. All of our attachment styles are complex memory experiences of our early relationships. So all the different relational moments we've had impact our attachment style. So you might have had a secure attachment with one caregiver and an avoidant attachment with another caregiver. And moments that are scary for you might actually tap into a pocket of disorganization in your mental model of the world. This is wonderful news, and it brings us to the third and very important thing to know before I start sharing the attachment styles with you. The good news is, because you have all of the different attachment styles inside of you, it is possible to teach your own mind to react differently today compared to what was necessary when you were a child. Our attachment style is all about getting us through our childhood with as much safety as possible. But once you reach adulthood and you have more influence over what you believe and how you feel safe with yourself and others, then you actually can influence the attachment style that you experience most often to become more secure. In attachment theory, they call this earned security. So through your own personal development and healing work, you are able to reshape your brain. And I mean that literally. The anatomy of your brain will actually change as you heal old painful patterns and beliefs. And you can earn security. So let's dive in. I'm going to share with you some of the traits of each of the 4 attachment styles: secure, preoccupied, dismissive, and disorganized. So let's start with secure. For a person whose early experience was mostly secure, their history often looks like caregivers who persistently attempted to meet their need. This does not mean that their needs were met perfectly all of the time. However, the caregiver did a good job meeting the child's needs most of the time, and they stayed regulated themselves while trying to meet the kiddo's needs. Securely attached folks would have learned that they are a delight, that they're wanted, that their caregiver will continually try and help them regulate. Some underlying beliefs that that person might present would be relationships bring regulation, connection is natural, it's a normal way of being, I am good and you are good too. The world is mostly safe. I find it easy to make emotional connections with others. I enjoy being close to others. I am comfortable depending on other people and having them depend on me. I don't often worry about being abandoned. If I am in distress, I can easily turn to an attachment figure and find comfort and support. I trust that we can repair a rupture. A person with secure attachment, their stance towards relationship is that relationship brings regulation. They would believe that it's possible to experience oneness as well as individuality. They know that rupture does not mean cutoff or abandonment. It doesn't mean that either I'm going to leave or they're going to leave. It just means that we need to repair. So let's move on to the preoccupied attachment. Someone who has more preoccupation in their history often has experienced inconsistent co-regulation with a caregiver. Sometimes the caregiver would see them and meet their needs. Other times the caregiver may have been less responsive or poorly timed responses. The caregiver might have gotten overwhelmed themselves and given up in trying to soothe the child. And the underlying beliefs that this person might hold about themselves are, I'm overwhelming or I'm not enough. I have to fight to be seen. Things that happen around me are personal. I have to manage your feelings, caregiver, so that you'll be able to meet my needs. Some things that you might hear a person with preoccupation say might be, I'm comfortable with connection and usually crave more of it than my partners. I am attuned to others and often detect shifts in their emotional and mental states. I often worry about being abandoned, rejected, or not valued. I tend to overfocus on my partners and underfocus on myself. I need a lot of reassurance that I'm loved and desired by a partner. However, when my partner gives me reassurance or shows that they desire me, it either doesn't register or I have trouble receiving it and believing it. I get frustrated or hurt if a partner is not available when I need them. A person with preoccupied attachment Their stance towards relationship, their way of understanding relationship, would be that it's my job to manage your feelings so that you can meet my needs. They often worry that they're too much or not enough. Sometimes they feel those things simultaneously. And there's a fear of being abandoned because I'm either too much or not enough. What a preoccupied person needs to experience in order to move towards relational health is, I can be comforted when I feel scared. I can soothe myself and seek regulation as well. And what happens to me or in other people is not about me. So let's move on to the dismissive attachment. These people would have experienced caregivers who didn't respond when they were emotional. It's possible that that child would be praised for achievement and outward show of value, and often the caregiver had a more directive or authoritarian style of parenting. What the child learns about themselves and relationship is, I don't exist, or parts of me are not okay and should not exist. They learn that avoiding feelings is better, that it's safer to be invisible, that the world is a disconnected place. They learn that relationships are not helpful and all they do is increase my stress levels. Some of the things you might hear a dismissively attached person say are, my autonomy, independence, and self-sufficiency are very important to me. I am generally comfortable without close relationships and I do well on my own. I want to be in relationships and have some closeness with people, but I can only tolerate closeness to a limit and then I need space. I prefer not to share my feelings or show a partner how I feel deep down. I frequently don't know what I'm feeling or needing, or I might miss cues from others about what they're feeling and needing. I feel uncomfortable relying on partners and having partners depend and rely on me. I either struggle making relationship commitments, or if I do commit, I may secretly have one foot out the door or maybe have the back door opened. I am very sensitive to any signs that my partner is trying to control me or interfere with my freedom. I see myself or others as weak for having needs and wanting comfort, help, or reassurance. During disagreements or conflict, I tend to withdraw, shut down, shut out, or stonewall. What a dismissively attached person needs in order to move towards relational health is, they need to feel that they have value regardless of achievement or status. They need to recognize their feelings are real, valid, and even helpful. They need to learn that it's safe to receive and offer help and connection when in relationship. And then finally, let's talk about the disorganized attachment style. People with disorganized attachment often have a history of terror experiences in their childhood. It could be that the environment was unsafe and terrifying. It could be that a caregiver was unsafe and terrifying. Or it could be that their caretaker was terrified themselves, and the child learned that the world was a scary place because their caregiver was dysregulated most of the time. Often the beliefs that this person might have are, I'm poison, the world is dangerous, safety is not possible for me, I have to disappear or dissociate in order to be safe. Relationship brings pain and terror. Abandonment is inevitable. There is no possibility of repair in relationships. And then some of the things you might hear a person with a disorganized attachment say are, I often don't feel safe or fully trusting in relationship, even if my partner acts safe and trustworthy. I frequently get triggered or emotional, and it may seem to come out of nowhere. I genuinely want intimacy and closeness, but I can experience episodes of terror and overwhelm when intimacy with a partner increases. When in conflict, I flip from being overwhelmed and aggressive to being dismissive and numb. When I am stressed out, I go between different types of chaos and rigidity. When in distress, I have acted in ways that may have been harmful either to myself or to my partners. I often expect the worst will happen in relationship, even if things are going well. There are many times when I look fine on the outside, but I'm actually a complete emotional wreck on the inside. What a person with disorganized attachment needs to learn is that the world is often safe, that it is safe to be with others and trust people who act in ways that are trustworthy. They need to learn that they can be comforted even when they're scared, and they need to learn that they matter and have value. Whew! What a journey, right? I know that was a ton of information, and it's very possible that as you were listening, different aspects of the 4 attachment styles rang true for you. Again, that's because all of us are a patchwork quilt. We have all of these different attachment styles inside of us. We have different neural networks holding information about each one of these ways of being in the world and in relationship. It's just that you might have more of one color than another. So now that you're armed with this information, the next step is start being really curious and aware of your own behavior. How do you react in a relationship? What are some of your underlying beliefs about yourself, about connection, about the world? As always, as you're reflecting and building awareness about your patterns, attempt to do so with curiosity and compassion. There is a really good reason why each one of us experiences relationship in the way that we do. And so bring compassion towards why you might be experiencing relationship the way you do. A final thought, none of this information is meant to condemn your caregivers. They also have implicit learnings about how to be in the world. Attempting to understand what happened to them would actually be more beneficial than blaming them for what happened to you. As I say that, I also recognize that there are some people in the world who had caregivers who were actually harmful and cruel. And if that was your reality and you're not in a space where you want to be understanding about why and how they could treat you that way, that is 100% all right. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you take this information and use it to begin watching your own mind and creating new, healthier patterns in your relationship and life, because you deserve a full, joy-filled life, one with intimacy and love. And all of that starts with you and your ability to watch your own mind with compassion and curiosity. I am sending you so much love. Remember to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, send this video to people who you think might benefit from it. I love your support. Thank you. And I'll see you next week. Bye for now.